Okay, how do I start this video? Oy. Testing, 1, 2, 3. This is your brain on drugs. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am merging my Substack here with my YouTube. So as you can see, I changed my banner up here. So now it says the 11th hour, which is what my blog is called over on Substack as well. So make sure to go and check that out. If you want to see more long form writing, I use that like my journal. It's a way that I process. I really like to write. I'm a writer. I'm a poet. I'm an artist. And so that's a fun little place inside my heart's landscape as well. And today I wanted to talk about some more logistical things of how I've gotten to here today and how psychedelics have really helped and supported my healing over the past many years. So, one thing you need to know about me is that I really do my best. I do my best to live my life with the most integrity that I can. Now, granted, this does not mean that I am a perfect person. This means that I still fuck up here and there. I still do things that trigger a lot of people. Welcome to kind of being, a sacred rebel. And I'm just not for certain people. And for some people, I'm totally for. Welcome to life, right? So that's all of us. We can all kind of relate to that. And I'm just one that likes to color outside of the lines. The more that I've gotten into my own healing and wholeness and remembering and accepting all aspects and parts of myself, the more that I've actually really gotten more grounded, and I attest a lot of that to psychedelics. So, right now, we are at the precipice of this really cool time where, especially throughout America, there's other places, of course, in the world, but especially I'm born in America, so I really feel honored that we're now talking about psychedelics and we're decriminalizing certain things. There's some things that aren't getting passed, but there are some things that are now becoming decriminalized. And so that's really, really exciting to see that the world is really progressing and it's no longer this like 80s, do you remember that? If you're like a 80s or 90s kid, definitely put a thumbs up if you remember those dare to keep kids off drugs. A little fun fact, one of the first ever awards, or no, excuse me, awards, but also competitions that I ever won for my art was in kindergarten. We all had the same picture. I was 5 years old, so little Linny, or little 11, was only 5. And the picture that we all got to color was of this hot air balloon. This is a core memory for me. See, so we're going to get into neuroplasticity and remembering inner child stuff and reworking the neural pathways. But before we get there, this is a core memory. So, and I'll never forget, I colored perfectly inside the lines. Some kids didn't. But the reason why I won was because, like the little panels of they had like different, it was like a little graphic and had different panels of the hot air balloon. I did them pink and purple. And then, that's not all. I took a turquoise crayon and went over the panels with the turquoise ever so lightly, like not hard. I knew depth and I knew like textures, and even at 5 years old, I understood this. So this is a core memory because I won across the school, or at least my grade, if I can recall, and they gave me a Dare t-shirt actually as my prize. And I remember being so grateful to win. And that was like a core memory for me because it was for my art. So I was rewarded for my art, and I was rewarded for being kind of different, right? And so that was ring the bell, get the cheese. And that was a core memory that I really, really enjoy because it's kind of a cosmic joke now because I do a lot of psychedelics. And when I say this, I'll get into a little bit more of what that looks like in my life now because I'm a mostly sober person, actually. But I do implement microdosing here and there, and we'll also get into that later. But that was a little fun fact and fun memory. But if those of you that are from the 80s or 90s in America remember those Dare commercials, the frying pan with the eggs, and it was so dramatic, I'll never forget. And that was totally a CIA funded program to get people in sheeple again, because they didn't want psychedelics being, this was like after the Woodstock era, right? So this was like reform and control. And anyway, that's for another video. So I attest psychedelics to a lot of my healing, because had I not continued to be a rule breaker and color outside the lines person, then I wouldn't be here now. So in 2019, when I left the marriage, I was in a survival state. I was definitely, well, I was so still disassociated from my body that some of the even grief is still lingering. These are layers. We're multi-layered as individuals, and it takes time to start peeling away. So sometimes we go into such survival that we compact a lot of trauma. So I'm really grateful that I started dating somebody who was really deep in the psychedelic space at the time. And she invited me to do a microdose program. So I started microdosing psilocybin, and I had done psilocybin once. That's mushrooms. In case you don't know, psilocybin is mushrooms. And so I remember feeling so, the first time I ever bought mushrooms, it was actually when I was still married, and I only had done them one time with Corey before then I had left. And it was through a tea. We brewed them, and I actually got them through a really dear friend. And I remember meeting him on the side of the road, and it was like this, like, felt like this drug deal happening with, psilocybin. And, this was back in 2019. So it was, that might have been 2018. I'm not sure. That might have been 2018, actually, when that happened. And then fast forward 2019, I end up, summer of 2019, ended up, being out of the marriage, and then started dating a woman who was really in the psychedelic space. So she invited me to do a microdose program, and that meant like 3 days on, a few days off. So I was taking little capsules, and I'm sure there was also functional medicine, functional mushrooms within them, probably reishi, chaga, maybe not. It could have been just, I don't recall. But now we've done a lot more research, and there's a lot more stacking, is what they call it. And so we'll also kind of touch on that here in a little bit. So get cozy, because this is going to be a little bit of a ride, and we're going to get into some of the weeds of the scientific aspects. So neuroplasticity is your brain's matter. This is the synapses in your brain firing off, right? And I think the scientific name is called dendrites. So like there are these little connection points in your brain. And from 0 to 6 or 7, that's like a pivotal time where those continue to, be really, really open. Your neuroplasticity is in its most precious state. And then 7 to like around 24 years old is, the rest of that sort of wiring. So after that, 24 to a little older is when you've kind of got things set in stone. So neuroplasticity is what we're all talking about. We're trying to do trauma rewiring, and we're trying to create new neural pathways. And I'm not a scientist, but I am going to speak to this stuff because it is really important to understand what is happening to the brain when you are creating new ways of being and unlearning trauma responses and surviving maybe what you call PTSD, CPTSD, relational rupture, essentially, right? So I was going through quite a bit of that, in fact. And so these mushrooms started infusing into my system, and I automatically started feeling, not only because I was free and I was coming out again and in this beautiful relationship at the time, but honestly, I just remember life becoming so much more vivified and colorful. I also was implementing a lot of other somatic tools that I really want to make note of. That included meditation, breath work. So I'll take a deep breath together. And that also included EFT tapping.
I am safe in my body. I am home. Somatic practices also changed my life.
So we can, do other videos about this in the future to talk more about somatics, but this one is going to be more focused on psychedelics. So I also included cold plunging and hot, sauna, hot cold therapy. There was a lot, just even physical safe touch after domestic violence, and um, there was a lot kind of integrating at that time. And so using psychedelics, using psilocybin, there are other things that other psychedelic assisted therapists use, or, if you want to create your own at home sort of ceremonial experience, I would advise having a trauma informed guide, because we can be doing a lot of these experiences in our own time, like at parties, and then old memories can be popping up, and then we're not actually integrating them, and we're actually hurting our bodies more. So I'm so grateful that that never was my story. I never, you guys, ever have been a drug user. I think I had smoked weed a handful of times in my life. I just was raised with a father that really talked about drugs and his drug usage and his drug addictions before we were born. And he was really honest about it. He used reverse psychology. He was like, look, drugs, like hard drugs, cocaine, heroin, all those things. He's like, I tried it. They almost killed me. Don't recommend it. And it was kind of like said so matter of fact that I just trusted him. I was like, okay, yeah, thank you for talking about it. It wasn't like this, let's not talk about it, which they did do with the sex thing. And that's where it didn't really land. I feel really grateful that my dad was just matter of fact and honest about it. So, yeah, my post separation and divorce integration through psychedelics really helped my nervous system regulation. And for those of you that are walking through this experience yourselves, I just want to advise you to try this on for size. If you are interested in a microdose sort of mentorship with me, I do offer those to private clients, and we do a whole curriculum to kind of unpack the layers, and you do, your microdose schedule on your own time. And then I do recommend working with a therapist if you haven't already. I've worked with countless therapists throughout my life, and I feel so grateful. Thank you to all the therapists that have walked with me and helped me dissect my own psyche. I don't know what I would have done without them. Truly, it really helped me have an unbiased opinion, and it was for me to just sit and unpack. So, for those of you that are a little bit nervous about getting other people's insight, especially if it's a therapist, take a look under the hood at that. Take a look at under the hood at why you're so resistant towards another person just walking with you and celebrating you, and pointing out some things. If you're really hardened and you're really focused on just your way, chances are that's not really going to get you very far. So I just encourage you to be open, be curious about your own self, be curious about your blocks. If nothing else, I invite you to journal and just to start mapping out your own mind, so that you can start really seeing some of your patterns and some of maybe things that you would like to work through. Maybe start there. That would be a really great place to start. Um, and again, if you're interested in one on one mentorship or joining one of my groups, I do offer that a couple times a year. I've kind of taken a little bit of a pullback, but I am always open. I'm very specific. I only work with a few people one on one per year. So I do have a little bit of spaciousness depending on the client. I have a whole application form. So if you are interested in that, I will link that below, and we can talk about that and set up a time to chat. And I also do in person immersions and retreats where you can come down to Mexico and we can create an entire new path. Because life is, I do say this, I don't say life is short anymore. It is technically, but life is also long. And so I'm helping care for my 92-year-old abuelita. She is 92 years old, my grandmother from Mexico, and I'm with her in seasons, and I'm watching her turn into dust right in front of my face. There's a booklet that they give to everyone in hospice care, and it's called The 11th Hour, which is why I've called my space this because I believe that we're all, even past the 11th hour, that's the truth. There's a song I'll link also below that talks about how we're actually past the 11th hour. We are in critical triage right now in mental health, in just the state of where we're at in days like today. And so it is time. It is time to start really, really, really supporting yourself and finding new ways that really support your journey. And so this is why I share. And it's been vulnerable for me to share because I've kind of been an early to the after party type of person. And there's like these liminal spaces that before it actually starts to really hit, it's a little quiet. There's like crickets. But then now, like, the whole world is talking about this. And this is like on Netflix, where we've got like Michael Pollan's How to Change Your Mind is like a documentary I recommend. Then there's Aaron Rodgers, one of the top quarterbacks in the world, is now talking about ayahuasca. And we've got Joe Rogan and all of these beautiful minds really speaking to this stuff. And so I'm really grateful that I was an early adopter to this space. And that because of that, because of my bravery and willingness to talk about these things and to vulnerably share my story, I've gotten to walk with countless others through their own transformation. And that is my entire cosmic mission here. My entire mission here is to be a mirror, a reflector of truth, of transformation, of identity alchemy or archetypal alchemy, and just offering you guys an ability to witness someone else really trying to make it through this journey just the same. So I have an exciting thing. This is not a sponsored video. However, I am going to invite you guys into, if you're interested in a microdosing program or you're a beginner in this and you're like, all right, I'm super interested. Where do I get psilocybin? Where do I get mushrooms from? You're in luck because a dear friend of mine who actually came to one of my retreats here in Mexico, she actually got inspired and started goldenrulemushrooms.com, which is a mushroom company, psilocybin, and you can get different kits. So whether you're a beginner and you need support, whether you are more advanced, intermediate, and you want to just do kind of like your own ceremonial experience, then that is there as well. They have journals, they have workshops by my friend Tiffany. She's also a part of the company. And so I have a code 1111 for 11% off anything on the site. So if you would like to do just on your own journey and use the journal from there, or if you would also like to do a one-on-one immersion with me, then we can implement that into the immersion as well. So there's a couple different ways that we can walk together. All in all, I am just so grateful to say that I am standing here now before you. Well, I'm actually sitting before you now. And I don't know who I would be, truthfully. I can't even let my mind process that because I have new neural pathways now, guys. I have new dendrites, the little connection points in my brain, and I don't even know what my amygdala would look like if, the amygdala is basically, so that's our fear center. The amygdala in the brain is our fear center. And so I was so used to a lot of intense experiences in my life. It actually also was in childhood. So this is even before my domestic violence. We also know that, is it the chicken or the egg? The reason that I felt at homeostasis within that type of experience was because it reminded me of home. And that's how the brain works, as we end up becoming comfortable with a little bit more chaos because we grew up seeing that. So as much as I love my father, my late father now, he passed through already. He did have a lot of trauma that he was working through. So the point of our lives, you guys, this is my experience. This is my experience of what we're all here to do. We are all given the opportunity to either be a victim of our ancestral code and some of the past things that our families have gone through, or we get to rewrite the pattern and rewrite the code. And that is what I have chosen to do. I've chosen to rewrite, be open to seeking help and alternative ways of healing, and really completely rewriting the matrix code for myself because I don't know who I would be. I literally can't even think about it. I'm like, I don't know where I would have been had my life kind of just been in complete hermitage if I didn't let anyone in. I also attest going on a pilgrimage my ceremonial experiences learning from indigenous teachers. I went to Peru literally a few months after leaving my marriage. So I just went all in. So if you are finding yourself at a crossroads and you're looking for, again, one-on-one support, you need someone to just walk with you from lived experience. This is a little different than maybe a psychotherapist or, any other life coaching. I really, really walk with my clients through lived experience, and I share parts of my own story just to help with relational aspects to it. So again, I do have a little spaciousness to work with someone for the rest of the year, maybe a few people, or we could create a group. So depending on, I do have a couple clients that I'm working with already, so we could loop it into a group. So depending on how this ends up panning out, I always open up to doing more of a group setting, and that can be bi-weekly or one-on-one. So I kind of just tailor it depending on who comes forward, and I just trust the process entirely. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. And I just wanted to share a little bit more about my journey and invite you guys into the process. This is now after many years of integration, so this is why I'm now just getting on here. So thank you for being here this many years later and finding your way back to me again. And I really look forward to continuing to share my story. And that's all for now. So that's all for now, folks. What is that, like Porky the Pig? Porky the Pig. There we go. Anyways, I love y'all. I love y'all beyond measure. You are my soul's treasure. And I look forward to kind of getting, again, into your wheelhouse. It's been a little while, so it's going to take a little time of massaging and nurturing these relationships because I ghosted ya. But thank you for understanding. I change words around now, understanding rather than understanding. Thank you for going inward to your own experience and realizing, oh, Elle just really needed to take a break. And so, yeah, thank you for letting me do my thing. And now we're back and we're, going to see how this goes because why not? So, I'm going to head out. You guys, I'm so rusty. I don't even know how to do YouTube as much anymore. I'm like, okay, how do I end these videos again? Okay, I'm getting back in the swing of things. So, over and out. Yeah.
We're over sad girl summer. We're now about soft, psychedelic girl summer. Here it is. You heard it here first. We can do MDMR. No. MDMA? No. ASMR. There it is. ASMR breathwork. I call this alternate nostril breathing. This helps your left and right brain connect. In through the left, out through the right, in through the right, out through the left. Creates like an infinity symbol in your brain. It's really good for you.